And it's delightful to be able to share some of the background that we've had and some of the experiences we've had in Surrey and throughout the Fraser Valley, bringing back the history of the British Columbia Electric Railway, and in particular the Fraser Valley line, running from New Westminster all the way to Chilliwack. And primarily what we're interested in is that we can now show you not only what it was like, but we can take you for a ride. So that's part of what we're here for. Because you can't come to Cloverdale either last year or this year for this conference, we'll have to kind of give you a hint of what's here. And we all hope that as you do get a chance to travel around and come to Surrey, and in particular the historic area of Cloverdale, that you'll be able to come for a ride with us for real sometime soon. So with that, we'll like to share a little bit of what we've done. And my director here, Stephen Plant, will be talking a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing to show you things. But to give you an idea of some of the impact and the history of the British Columbia Electric Railway in the Valley, we have a short video to show you. And this will be known as the BCER in the Valley. And this is something that was produced for an online presentation that didn't happen. And the producers at Stray Cat Productions were very generous in donating this to us to use. And this is the world premiere.
In the early 1900s, the Fraser Valley was still a very rural area, lots of farmlands and small communities that were somewhat connected. The Interurban and the spread of electricity in the valley really opened up their world. They could go in the morning, do business, have lunch, some shopping at the Army and Navy, and be back in the afternoon in time for chores. It really changed people's lives.
Before we had Interurbans, you had horses and carriages. The sort of things you've seen royalty go in with doors and a roof. And it was coach builders, carpenters and coach builders that built those. And that is precisely what you're seeing here is the next phase of coach workmanship, just at a much larger scale.
The run of the Interurbans, like many of the fixed rail traffic in North America, went through huge changes, particularly in the 50s. As the spread of open transportation networks, the availability of cars, trucks, and buses, and people could go where they wanted, not where the trains went.
And it got to the point in the late 50s that the Interurbans in the Lower Mainland shut down completely. All of the rest were taken down underneath the Broad Street Bridge, turned on their side, and burnt. And then the scrappers come in and picked up the metal, and it all went to scrap.
The Fraser Valley Heritage Railway came into existence to preserve the heritage. Of over 500 cars in the combined fleet, there's only 9 left. Of those, there's only 7 in the Lower Mainland, and we have 4 of them.
The Interurbans were built to last. And after we restored them, they probably could last another 100 years.
Well, that just gives you a taste of what's to come, and I'm going to let John speak to the video. I hope that he pays homage to Roy Crowther that was in the video. He passed away last year. It's kind of sad to see him. And, you know, that's the one thing about an organization that's been going for 20 years and started off with a lot of the, you know, the old timers, the guys that actually worked on the railway. We've lost a few people over the years, and but they're not gone. They're in every rail, every car that gets back into service, etc. So, John, I'll let you take it on.
Okay, thank you. Well, I must admit that the next video we have, which talks a little bit about some of the impact of the BC Electric in the valley, and not only for rail transportation, but also electricity, because it was the BC Electric Company as well, and it brought electricity to the valley at that time, which had a major change on people's lives. So as part of our homage to the BCER and the fact that we really do want to represent exactly what happened, we have produced this video, which we call Opening Cloverdale. And the Cloverdale station opened in 1910. So there was a lot of construction and things that went on before then, of course, but it was an exciting time of change. We'd also like to show a little bit of where the run that we take these days covers, and some of the bits of that. And to introduce that, I'd like to now turn it over to Stephen Plant, who's our treasurer and director and head of guest experience. But also these days he's branching out. He's become the director for our Heritage Railway players, who we will see throughout these videos. Stephen, if you unmute, would you like to introduce the video?
I would. My name is Stephen Plant. I'm the Director of Guest Experience. I had totally forgotten that I am still the treasurer with all that's been going on. I'm so happy to be able to be in this position. I have about 50 volunteers who work with me, and we manage the station, the platforms, and the tours that go through our facility. We also take care of our special events, and we have wonderful special events. Halloween, First Responders Day, and our most popular is Christmas time, the Electric Express 100 years ago. Then during all of this, we slowly evolved. A small group of us became the Heritage Rail Players. This is a group of fun people who manage the special events, who love to dress up in different clothing. And we are very lucky that we have produced 2 films to date that we are releasing for the first time right now. And then we have another film in production. So the first film is the Cloverdale Station opening 1910. And after that, there will be Welcome to Cloverdale. Take it away, John. Welcome to the Cloverdale train station. Today we're celebrating the opening of the original station, which was built in 1909 and then opened in 1910. It was then torn down in the 50s as they tore down the railway. So we built this replica here of the train station in 2013. It is an exact replica, and how do we know that? Because we found the architectural drawings of the original station, and we built this station, and we actually built this station within feet of the original location. Now, when the original station was built, it was actually 12 feet shorter. For a couple of years, they realized they needed more room, so they built another 12 feet on in 1913. This station was very important to the railway. It was a very busy station. The BC Electric Railway started coming through in 1910, going east to west, right along this trackage here. This is the original route. Now, not only did the railway bring transportation to Cloverdale and Surrey and the rest of the valley, it also brought hydropower. So it opened the valley up to a whole new economy. Now, this was the transportation center of Surrey and Cloverdale because just about 100 yards down, running north-south, was the Great Northern Railway. So right here was a very, very busy area, and we are celebrating the opening of this station today.
I think we're just about ready to open up for the day's operations here. I think I just got to check in with the ticket taker here. Liz, I see we got people waiting outside. Are we ready for operations today? Alrighty, I'm going to open up the door and go and see them. Good morning, folks. I hope you're going to come and join us for a ride on the tram. Come on in, man.
Two tickets, please. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, here's one.
Welcome, folks. Come on in. Ticket office is right over here.
Just fine. How are you?
And our tram is waiting outside for us when we're ready to go for a ride
Yeah.
to Sullivan Station.
No, she didn't. I'm sorry she didn't.
Hello, ma'am. Want a ticket? Thank you very much. Morning.
Good morning, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I just got back from school. I had to work for a little while after school there, and I'm glad I made it back in time for the train. Oh.
Looks like we've got a few people for our first ride on the tram this morning. Yeah, looks like nice weather out there. Good morning, folks. Good morning, folks. I'm your station master here. And as I see, we are on time, and the tram is arriving from the east. And this is our first trip ever, and we are going to be going from here to Sullivan Station. I'm sure you all have your tickets in hand, and you will be boarding further down the station here, and the conductor will take you on the car. Have a pleasant trip, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now your passengers are here. Our conductor is going to be taking your tickets.
Good morning. Welcome. Good morning. Floating right, do it right now. Let's give me your tickets to get on. We'll be off the road in a minute or so. Welcome. Watch your step. Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for making it. Thank you very much.
Morning, man.
How y'all doing?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, good. Lunch is served. It will be shortly.
Very nice. Take care of our customers.
Yeah, look at the beautiful flowers. I hope everybody.
Typical railroad yard, lots of stuff.
Yeah, lots of celery, vegetable soup. Fresh stuff we've had in a long time. That would have been crap.
We're standing here at the corner of 168th Street and number 10 Highway, where the original Meridian station was located. Unfortunately, it's no longer here, but 168 runs from north
to south and was called Coast
Meridian Road.
Right.
Number 10 Highway was McClellan Road, and it runs from east to west. Yes.
Very good.
Farther down Coast Meridian Road, 168, there is the Kensington Prairie, a farm-rich area. And there's still an old school there, but from back in the day.
Wow.
Yes.
So the old school, is that the one at 168th Street and 32nd?
That's the one. Yes.
Very
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of vegetable farms still remain.
Well, they would bring their vegetables here, put them on the train, and take them to the market. So it worked out well for everybody.
Great. And what else did they do here? What happened with the mail?
Well, the mail, this was the main space where they dropped the mail off.
Okay.
And it would get transported up the hill to Surrey Center.
Okay.
And it would get distributed from there.
There you go,
yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
And what else did they have?
They also had a spur line here, an extra spur line where they would house 8 extra cars.
Very nice.
So, and I would presume it probably got very busy in the summer months with the vegetables and everything else.
Very good.
And so from here, we're going to go to Mcclellan Station.
Very nice. Thank you.
We're standing here now at the site of the Mcclellan Station.
Oh, okay.
And it is at the foot of number 10 Highway and the old McClellan Road, which runs behind us.
Oh,
yes.
Very good.
In front of us is the original BC Electric rail line, which ran from Cloverdale to Sullivan Station.
Okay, very good. That is what, the Serpentine?
That's the Serpentine River, and you can see that they're doing some major changes.
Yeah, it looks like they had an old trellis there, and now they've refurbished it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Great. So what about the old McClellan Road?
The old McClellan Road leads up the hill to the Anglican Church, which was built in 1884.
Okay.
And it still stands. They still use it.
Wow.
And around the church is an old cemetery.
Ooh.
And it's just full of history, Surrey history. Like history buffs would love it.
I bet they would.
Definitely take a minute and go and have a look. And across the street from there is the old original City Hall, or what used to be
the
old
site.
Okay. Yes. They built that one in 1884. And it is now moved to the Surrey Museum site on 176 in Cloverdale.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so lots of changes, but they've managed to restore and keep all of the old.
So now where does it go from here?
From here, we're going to go to Sullivan Station.
To the Sullivan Station. This was a major station stop on the way to Chilliwack. Sullivan was a lively little community. And up the hill to the south, you'll find the community hall, which was originally built in 1928, which supplanted the 1912 hall that was there. If you go a little further south and on your left, you'll find the Sullivan Elementary School. And on the outside of the Sullivan Elementary School, there is a mural that depicts the Sullivan Station in its early busy days, and that painting and mural was done by 2 local artists.
So you may ask, where are we? This is 152 and 64th, which used to be, as you might remember, Johnson Road and Bowes Road. Now just south of here is a big green barn. That was our original facility. That is where we brought in Interurban 1225 and rehabilitated it. We had that building for 10 years. Also in the last couple of years, we rescued 1304, the Connaught car, and stored it in that building. Welcome back to where we began our journey through time, the Cloverdale train station. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the other stations along the route. There were many stations and benches along this very busy transportation route, and for 50 years this was the key transportation for the Lower Mainland. So we'd like you to come and visit us. Where are we? We are at the base of 176A, just south of number 10 highway, across the street from the Surrey Archives and the Surrey Museum. So please come and visit us.
There are stories told a century old of the interurban line that served the Fraser Valley folks and delivered them on time. The electric railway line, the interurban line.
I hope you enjoyed a quick view of what it's like on the rails and some of the things that have happened in the past. We tried to bring them back, and it's certainly been a wonderful time to try and show what it was like being on the rails. But nothing really beats coming for a ride. So we do hope that as we get to travel around a bit more and that we are back in operation, that you come for a chance to actually go for a ride on the Interurban and explore for yourself what it was like in Surrey and in parts of the valley up to 100 years ago. Now, I'd like to take an opportunity to welcome you, virtually at least, to come and see what it was like earlier this year on the campus and show you some of the other things that we have that you can do when you come for a visit. So this is the Welcome to Cloverdale video.
Welcome to Cloverdale, British Columbia, the Heritage Centre of Surrey, BC, and the site of the first two Surrey City Halls. In the middle of Cloverdale is the Surrey Heritage Railway Cloverdale Station. Come and join us for a tour of the station and the railway campus.
Welcome everyone to the Cloverdale Interurban train station. Isn't the train coming shortly?
It is due in any minute now.
So what we want you to do is we want to invite you to our train station. Once you get to the top of our ramp and you go in, you're looking for the ticket office,
the washrooms,
the museum, and
the corner store.
When you're at the ticket counter, that's where you can purchase your tickets. So thank you for coming today, and we hope you have a great time.
And if you follow my lead, I will take you inside.
Welcome. I see you've booked online. We'll exchange your voucher for these 3 tickets.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Now, before you go anywhere else, I'd like to introduce you to our museum that's just down here. Maybe you'd like to have a little look at the things we have.
Welcome to the museum. We have plenty of pictures and artifacts to display, and they show 50 plus years of our railway operating. We have an original timetable from the Mcclellan Station. They used to run daily, except on Sunday, where you'll see the DES. We also have a very interesting video of the trains actually operating. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask anything and I will try to get an answer for you. And before you leave, please visit our corner store. There's some interesting objects there. Thank you very much for coming.
Welcome to our little souvenir shop, better known as Bill's Corner Store. We have lots of little articles for sale here. We have pins, we have crests that you can sew on. Our big items too are our kids' hats, boys and girls. For the ladies, we have a reusable shopping bag. We have t-shirts, some with the white, some with the train on them. Cups with the 1304 or our wild metal. We have buttons for the kids, and we have lots of adult hats, different colors, different shirts. We go all the way from small to 2X in some of them. We also have our world-renowned socks coming in black and green. So we hope you could shop now or on your way back through. Thank you.
Well, folks, it never gets old, the arrival of the train. So I'd like to, at this time, to welcome you out onto the platform. It's a great opportunity to take photos and just be respectful that the train requires a little bit of room away from the platform. So be safe, but enjoy.
To our Wildflower Meadow. Been a journey to get it to perfection, but we are very happy with our end result. The Wildflower Meadow supports many different species of bees, a few of them being the mason bee, the honeybee, and the bumblebee. We also have a bee hotel, which was built by one of our talented volunteers and so kindly donated. We have a family of rabbits that reside here. They are very happy and they are quite safe. If you look carefully, you will see 2 beehives. These hives are very active and support anywhere from 60 to 80,000 honeybees. Honeybees have a lifespan of only 4 to 6 weeks. In their short little life, they collect 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. Imagine how many of those it takes to fill a jar. Honeybees are not native to our area. They were brought over by the settlers a very long time ago from Italy. They are very calm. They will not bother us unless provoked. They will remember faces, colors, shapes, and patterns. They have only 3 priorities: food, brood, and the queen. There are 2 queen bees, one for each hive, and she is a queen in name only, not a ruler. Her job is to lay at least 1,000 eggs a day, and she will live approximately 3 years. The Honeybee Center owns and maintains these 2 hives. All the honey collected goes to the food bank. We also sell the wildflower honey in our store. Come by and try a jar. Now, let's go on a tour of the Discovery Center.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Frank Horn Heritage Railway Discovery Center. I'd like to welcome you today, and just to let you know, this is a working rehabilitation and restoration railway center. So what I'd like to let you know is, because we have machinery on the ground, some hanging on the walls, I want you to be cognizant of that and to be careful. Now if you have children with you today, please keep them at arm's length, very important, so that we keep everyone safe. Especially because we do have train rails on the floor. So I'd like to welcome you, and I'm sure that our queen bee, who is in my very background there, is going to make sure that the rest of all of you come through. So let's head in, because the next part of our journey is going to take you into one of our interurban cars.
Hi, welcome aboard the 1207 Theater. Yes, this is Interurban 1207, the oldest remaining interurban, It was built in 1905 in New Westminster. It was one of a small group of cars that when originally built was not given a number, it was given a name. So this is the Steveston. In the 1920s, when they changed the color of the fleet and repainted them, they took away the name and gave it a number, 1207. So we call it 1207, the Steveston. This is a very elegant car, anywhere from the rattan seating to the wonderful polished wood. It had stained glass side windows and these beautiful windows up here giving ventilation. This car was restored once already and now is ready for another restoration which will occur in a couple of years. Until then, it is our theater. And so I'd like to show you a small film that we made a couple of years ago showing the history of the Interurbans.
There was a dream. The dream became a vision. The vision became reality. The BC Electric Railway was born.
The Interurban started out in 1910. It started out from the Carroll Street Depot in Vancouver, which is now an office building, and it went as far as New Westminster. That was a 15-minute ride, and the route that it took is now a SkyTrain line. From New Westminster to Chilliwack, it was 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it stopped to service 61 customers along the way. It cost you, one way was $1.85, a round trip was $3, which was a lot of money in those days. Now, up until the time the Interurban came to being, there was no power in the valley, so they had to set up substations along the way, and which was a real plus for the farmers because now they could get all of their fruit, vegetables, and dairy to market in a timely fashion. The route that they took, the rail, is still there. It's still being used by Southern Rail. The whole trip was 76.3 miles.
This is the story of car 1225, built in St. Louis, Missouri in 1912. In 1958, it was the last car to run in revenue service on the BC Electric Railway, and it was the first car obtained by our society in 2005. After restoration in our shops by our own volunteers, it's put back in service in 2016, has been carrying passengers again ever since.
This board represents coach 1304. She was built in 1911 in the New Westminster shops and went into service very shortly after. A year later, she was taken back into the shops. The seats were taken out and carpet and lounges and curtains were put in, and it was used to take the Duke of Connaught, who was the Governor General of Canada, on a tour from Vancouver to New Westminster. There are photographs on the board here that are taken on that day, and they're quite interesting to look at. The car was in a fire in 1945. The war was still on. They desperately needed the coach. It was taken into the Kitsilano shops and rebuilt and came back out into service as a brand new coach again and went into service to service the Army base, particularly in Chilliwack, because it was desperately needed at that time. She's the coach that will never die. She's known as the Connaught car because of her royal tour, and is the only remaining Chilliwack car. There's no others in the world like her.
Hello everyone. I gather you've just come from 1207. This is 1207 the Steveston from the outside, and now you know what a gorgeous, beautiful train car it is. 1207 was built in 1905, and it was saved and brought up from Washington, and it actually ran at Granville Island for 12 years. After the 2010 Olympics, they decided to retire 1207, and they stored it away in a warehouse in Vancouver. The car at that time was owned by Byron and Diane Cole, and they were from Snoqualmie, Washington. And they came to our organization for a visit. And once they had concluded their visit here with us, they chose to donate this car to us.
Hi everybody, just to give you an update on 1231. 1231 came to us from Downtown Heritage Railway. It was owned by BC Transit, and we now have possession of it. And we're rebuilding it, and as you see, it's up in the air. The inside's been done, the outside's been repainted. All we need to do is put the 4 motors, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here, compressor motors over here. The wheels and axles are over there, and the frames are ready for painting. And then once they're all painted, the motors and that will be loaded onto the axles and then lined up, and then the car will be lowered down on top of the axles, and hopefully it runs. And that should be done somewhere towards the end of 21. Thank you.
Well, welcome to 1231. My name is Ron Powers. I'm one of the volunteers. I'm just going to try and take you through the interior of 1231 to show you the new updates that we have been doing, waiting for the public to come out. As you can see here, the controllers and the braking system is all being rebuilt. All the wiring in the interior of the car has been done. Even the emergency braking system has been done. This connects the brakes that are underneath, so when we're parked, we can put that in here. We are now in the interior of the car here. As you can see, we are in the smoking section here now. If you'll notice, we do have the wooden seats here as they were back in the days when the car was built. We even have, as you can see, the center pin, which will be dropped in this hole over here, and that locates the trucks that are underneath the car. We've even put in the original heaters that are underneath the seat. And as you'll notice, the seats do move depending on which direction you want to face when we're traveling. Or if you have a small group together, you can have a little area and talk to yourself. Notice that they do even have the old style striker plates for the matches, because of course, again, this was the smoking section. We tried to put it back as original as possible. We even did some of the brass work where you'll see the different package shelving put up here. There is some of the old advertising that has been put up on the wall. The discs that are on the ceiling are the air vents, which are opened up for air to flow through to make it cooler here in the summer. All of the wiring has been redone, and of course, as you see, the beautiful woodwork, it has also been all refinished. Welcome now to the first class section. We have left the smoking section. You'll notice the difference in the interior and the type of seats. This has the wicker on here, where we had the wood in the smoking section. This wicker was brought in from, I believe it was Asia. And we wanted to get the exact style that was done here before. And if you'll notice again, the seats can move, and as they do, notice the footrest moves. So there's a place for the people's feet to go.
We are constantly collecting artifacts, as you can see. We have one volunteer whose sole position is to collect the artifacts, catalog them, and the pictures, and we're very proud that we can show these off, not only here, but in the station. Now, the one story that's very interesting about our artifacts happened several years ago. We got a phone call from a lady who told us she had something in her garden that we might like to take a look at that had something to do with the railway. So we sent a couple of our technicians out to her garden, and yes, there was something there. We weren't quite sure what it was. So we went online and did our research and found out it was a velocipede, a one-person maintenance vehicle. So one of our woodworkers took it upon himself to take the bits and pieces of this artifact home and rebuild it into a brand new velocipede. Now, as you can go to many museums and see the velocipedes and maybe even touch them, but here you're going to get to ride it.
years ago, one of our directors, Terry, and his team of technicians decided that they wanted to build a car that our guests could drive on. This is our family quad car. We load in our guests, usually about 4 at a time, and allow them to ride up and down the rails. The trick is, they provide all the power.
It's going back.
We'll get them going in the right direction. This is a great time for a family photo op, as there's always big smiles and lots of laughter coming from our family quad car.
All right, let's go back.
There, they've got it under control now.
Welcome everybody to my speeder. You have just come off the Interurban and you've come over to here. I want you to climb on board and you're going to go on a wonderful trip down the track and back. Now I know youngsters, they love it. But I look at the parents and the grandparents and they all come back with smiles, and I think they love it just as much as the little kids do. We have 3 speeders that we can use. We've got 2 cars, open-aired cars for you to ride in. So come on aboard and you will have a trip of your lifetime. That's something you probably have never done before.
So thank you for coming out and visiting us here in Cloverdale. Our usual operating season is from May through to early October, and we have a number of special events during the year. First Responders Day, our Halloween train, and our favorite Electric Express, Christmas in Cloverdale 100 years ago. So on behalf of all of the volunteers here at Surrey's Heritage Rail Experience, operated by the Fraser Valley Heritage Railway Society, thank you for coming and enjoying this trip. We hope you come by and visit us in person.
There are stories told a century old of the Interurban line that served the Fraser Valley folks and delivered them on time. The electric railway line, the Interurban line, manufactured by St. Louis car, she was brought upon the scene. She was number 12 and 25 in 19 and 13, and so she did her best in the growing restless West. Day on day, 12:25 would run the line, just looking fine.
Welcome back, everyone, from what I still find as a most enjoyable experience, and I've been on that route many times as a volunteer over the last 6-7 years. Listen, Heritage Rail is 100% volunteers, and what we've really hoped to show you is the impact those people make, who they are, and remembering those that have gone, have left us and gone to that maintenance yard in the sky. But you know, it wouldn't exist without the input from literally over the years hundreds of people. Each one of those cars is at least 10,000 hours of volunteer time just to get them restored. They have to be run, they have to be maintained, the station house has to be maintained, run, and it all takes bodies and money, but it takes a lot less money than it would because of the input of all those volunteers. So I'm just going to let John say a few final words, and it has been my pleasure to share this experience with all of you, and I've been reading the chat line. We want to see you come real soon. Take care.
Well, thank you for that, Michael. And I want to say that it really is a team effort. I've been the chair of the society since 2005, and I've seen a lot of people come in and certainly smile a lot, have a lot of fun, and it's certainly very rewarding. As Michael says, we are 100% volunteer run. We also benefit from the fact we have around 100 active volunteers in all aspects of our operation. Now, we're based in the Historic Center of Surrey in Cloverdale. We are across the street from the Museum of Surrey and the Archives building, which was the second City Hall for Surrey. So we hope that you get a chance to come out and see us sometime. We also want to thank our partners. The City of Surrey has been with us from the beginning. In fact, the truth is they started this. This was an idea that started with the Surrey Heritage Advisory Commission, and they did a 4-year feasibility study and made a recommendation to City Council, which was approved in 2000 to actually implement this railway again throughout Surrey. And we've certainly been working hard with them as our major partner. Of course, the rail line itself has changed hands a few times, and it is the track is now owned by Southern Railway of BC, known as SRY, and they've been wonderful working with us, and as the donation, they allow us to come and run on the main line again. And we're also able to do that through the partnership with BC Hydro, which, as you may know, is the successor to the BC Electric Company. And they've held on to the passenger rights, and they've worked very well with us to keep us going and encouraging us at any time. We also have over 300 members and corporate members. There's been an awful lot of people who've helped out. But you can only see the effect if you come for yourself. So we hope you do. We'll be more than welcoming. And now, if there's any questions or anything, we do have some time that we could answer any questions that you have, or sign you up. You can become a member, and if you're really excited about it, you can come join the Heritage Railway Players, and who knows, you might be the star in the next video. So, Michael.
I'd just like to add one thing at this time. While we are not yet running, please, John's included the contact information, so keep an eye on our website. But there is something happening that you can come and visit free of charge at the Museum of Surrey. We have an exhibit celebrating our 20 years since we came back to life, and it does really, once again, celebrate the efforts of volunteers. It's on the second floor. It's a very good exhibit, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to put Henry Urt on the spot. I heard today that he and his wife went and visited, and he's written books about this. He's got a long association. I think he was one of the founding members. He said he found it, quote me again, what did you?
Spectacular.
I want to use the right word, spectacular. And that means a lot to get from him. So the exhibits have come from our museum at the station and from the
Discovery Center,
and we've included the simulator, which you did. I don't think you saw in operation. It gives an opportunity for adults and children to actually sit in the conductor's seat and run the train with the wonders of technology. So please come and see that exhibit. It runs till September 4th, and all you need to do is to go to the City of Surrey website or the Museum of Surrey website, and you'll have instructions by phone or online booking. That is required, even though it's free. Thank you very much again, folks. This has been a wonderful opportunity to share. I've been looking at the comments, which is why I get a little emotional. Is there some way the videos can be made available? We do sell a wonderful, it's about 40 some minutes of a tour, historic tour, the last running of the train. I recommend it. I don't know whether these will be burned or whatever they call it and made available. They're wonderful videos. They are on just some of these, plus many others are on display, part of the display at the museum. I know some of you have been, but it's always amazes us that so many people come and see us for the first time, and we find out they live within a mile. Other people have said, "Where are you?" And I'm greeted in the shopping center next door or across the street, because the library is there as well as the archives and museum. And I'll say, just do a 45-degree turn and look straight ahead, which is why we've tried to show you as many images as possible as the station. You know, we are busy, we drive by, we get involved with other things, and we miss the obvious. Now, one of the things that we can't do right now is run the train on the tracks, because that's our best advertisement. You saw in one of the videos where the traffic actually has to come to a halt. And it's so amazing when people are waving at you as you go by. We gave you a taste of the scenery, but the train goes through some of the most pristine countryside that you cannot see any other way but from our train. People have seen deer, they've seen the three-legged coyote, there's bird life, etc. It is absolutely amazing, and I believe it's similar to what it would have been like about 100 years ago. Maybe the trees would have been taller, but it's still very green, very lush, very agricultural. So we celebrate a lot of things. The ecological heritage, the natural heritage, and the historic nature of public transportation from the turn of the last century. We also obviously do a lot of entertaining. And the heritage players, which Stephen has promoted and worked very hard on, and our collection of costumes, it actually adds yet another flavor to your experience at the station. We've recently enlarged our platform/patio area to double the size, and we look forward to entertaining people while they're waiting for the train or on their return from their ride. So I don't know what else to add. Stephen, have you got anything to add? Or I've been looking at, it's all comments and nothing negative.
No, I saw two questions.
Okay, well, you can.
And I can answer the questions. One of the questions was explain the electric part of the car. Okay, and I can explain that. The original cars were electric cars that had the overhead lines all the way. So they'd hook up to the overhead lines, and that's how they'd run. The power came down off of north of Vancouver, new power up in that area, and they came down. It was AC power, and it went to generating stations where they were turned into DC power, and that's what powered the trains. Now our trains, of course, we don't have the overhead lines. We have Cummins generators, diesel generators at the front of the train, and they produce power that shoots through to the train into the original electric motors, one over each set of wheels. There was another question on the Interurban in Burnaby. Let me explain to you about the Interurbans. The Interurbans were the large cars that went from city to city. There was about 90 of them. Of the 90, only 7 survived. 3 of them are in museums: Ottawa, Steveston, and Burnaby. So those cars in the museums, they will never run. That left 4 cars in the world of this type that could run. We have all 4, and we're very proud of that fact. So come on down when we're running and get in one and ride.
Well, it's certainly nice to have had a chance to show all of the things that our volunteers do, and the fact that we do have operating cars. You will have noticed that we do run under the branding of Surrey's Heritage Rail, operated by our society, and we do that very knowledgeably, because Cloverdale is becoming definitely the historic center of Surrey, and there's a lot more going on. As Michael has mentioned, the museum, the archives across the street, the library, the heritage center within the library, the genealogy center, and then up the street is the BC Truck Museum as well. So it's not just old fogies and old cars and old buildings, but there's lots of action going on in Cloverdale. and we certainly would like you to come down and see us. There is a video that does run from the Carroll Street station all the way up to Chilliwack and back, with some commentary about at those times the small village of Abbotsford and things that were starting in Chilliwack. It was quite something to see. That is the DVD that Michael referred to. It was called the Chilliwack Run, and it's certainly recommended. It was done during the last few weeks of the train running in 1950. And we've been very thankful to be able to show that off once in a while. I've been involved for quite some time, but I'm definitely not the longest standing member. We do have a few others who have been around and have been far more involved on the Interurbans than I have. And it's certainly nice to have them on board and working very hard. One thing you will notice when you come around on campus is that a lot of our volunteers are having an awful lot of fun, both playing with the big trains and welcoming you to come and share the fun that we have at Surrey's Heritage Rail. So, Michael, back to you.
Well, I just see two questions. Have you a minute to respond to Elwyn's any stories on the Lakeview disaster? And also there is a question from Kathleen. Were there telegraph operators along this particular rail line?
The Lakeview disaster has been mentioned in many places. There's certainly two articles, one from the papers that's been reproduced from the time, and also books by Henry Ewart does mention that. One of his books, I believe, does go into a little bit more about the flat car and the Interurban, or the streetcar that was injured, and the large loss of life, which hopefully we never see anything like that again. It was certainly a game changer for transportation at the time. And if you're in the Cedar Cottage area, you can go see the original Lakeview Station as well. So it's still there. And I would be very remiss if I didn't mention too that some of the people that you've seen have been around an awful long time and have even stronger connections to both Surrey and to the BC Heritage areas. And thinking of the Bose family as well, they certainly have had a strong influence and a large involvement as well. And we're very happy to have Roger with us, and is also still helping out, and you'll have seen him in a number of our videos as well.